statistically, the real separator was the defense last year. It was historically good. What the Cubs did defensively last year hasn't been quite at the same level, though you can't really blame Hayward for that. He's a stalwart out in right field.
What's amazing is being at this angle out here and seeing that play made. It's just totally different than being in the dugout and being behind home plate. You kind of see him got a beat on it from home plate. That was amazing.
2 down in the inning. This is Stephen Piscotty, the right fielder for the Cardinals, hitting .239 in the season. A very tough time recently for Piscotty, who went home to be with family for a few days. It was his mother was very recently diagnosed with ALS, and he went home to be with his family for 5 days and spend some time with his immediate family. And his mom was okay with Stephen being very open about it when he came back and talking about it. We certainly sent all of our thoughts to Stephen and his family. A very tough time for him, and you can only imagine how difficult it is to come back and focus on baseball with that going on at home.
Mentally, that's a toughest thing. Baseball is such a mental game, and then when you have problems off the field or things that are weighing on your heart off the field, it's tough to give that 100% focus on the field.
Ground ball to short, scooped up by Russell, and that's a 3-up, 3 down. So Kyle Hendricks gets the Cardinals in order, gets some terrific defense behind him from Jason Hayward. Even Matt Carpenter admires it.
Our story begins more than 60 years ago, inside an abandoned chicken coop, where our founder discovered a retired teacher living, no home, no health care. So she said no to this injustice and yes to transforming lives. It's this drive, this compassion that inspired AARP. Today we empower people to choose how they live as they age. We advocate for health and financial security. We strengthen communities everywhere. We are AARP, creating real possibilities.
This Father's Day, get Dad a gift that matters from Dick's Sporting Goods. Buy one, get one free. Top Flight Bomber Schlesinger Raw Distance Golf Ball. Get him some slides, sandals, Crocs, or water shoes and get a second pair for half off. Select men's Adidas apparel is now buy one, get one half off. Buy one, get one 50% off select styles from Under Armour. Bring out his inner outdoorsman with a Quest canopy for $49.98. Or a Trailblazer kayak now only $199.98. Can't decide? Get him a Dick's gift card. Go to Dick's Sporting Goods or visit Dicks.com for more amazing Father's Day gift deals. Every season starts at Dick's.
Good to know we have that on our Prius. And lane departure alert.
See what I mean? With so many safety features like pedestrian detection and lane departure alert, Toyota doesn't need us test dummies as much. Oh, I get it, man. Hey, I gotta get my thrill summit.
The 2017 Prius with Toyota Safety Sense Standard. Toyota, let's go places.
Back at Wrigley, bottom of the first, Cardinals and Cubs. Another installment of one of the game's great rivalries, one of the oldest rivalries in all of baseball as well. No score as we go to the bottom of the first, and here's the starting lineup for the Cubs, presented by Taco Bell.
Well, if the Cubs are going to get going, it starts with Chris Bryant. I mean, this guy is swinging the bat well. If he's having good at bats in front of those guys behind him, he's going to do well. But Anthony Rizzo is getting on base and really hitting the ball, at a 464 clip off Waka. This guy owns Michael Waka in this series.
Waka, part of statistically the best rotation in baseball. The Cardinal rotation is number one in the major leagues in ERA. Waka on the season 2-3, 3.99. Last two haven't been as good, hasn't lasted as long. Just 4 innings in one, 3 in another. Guy who came up, of course, burst onto the scene as a 21-year-old in 2013 and did great things in the regular season and the postseason. Ian Happ leads it off, and Waka over to cover on the play. So that's
starts with Chris Bryant. I mean, this guy is swinging the bat well. If he's having good at bats in front of those guys behind him, he's going to do well. But Anthony Rizzo is getting on base and really hitting the ball, at a 464 clip off Waka. This guy owns Michael Waka in this series.
Waka, part of statistically the best rotation in baseball. The Cardinal rotation is number one in the major leagues in ERA. Waka on the season 2-3, 3.99. Last two haven't been as good, hasn't lasted as long. Just 4 innings in one, 3 in another. Guy who came up, of course, burst onto the scene as a 21-year-old in 2013 and did great things in the regular season and the postseason. Ian Happ leads it off, and Waka over to cover on the play. So that's 4-1 on the putout as Happ retired. 1 down.
Keep an eye on Waka tonight. Coming off a couple outings where he struggled. Command's a big deal for him. When he's commanding his fastball down, and he'll typically be in the mid-90s with that fastball, but he's so tall and so far over the top that he really creates what we call tilt, a tough angle to hit the fastball. And when his fastball is down, that's usually when his changeup plays up, because that becomes a chase pitch for him.
That fastball command is so important for guys like this at that angle. When you've got that fastball command to both sides of the plate, makes all your other stuff that much better.
Chris Bryant, the batter. So how does that tilt, that arm angle, get away from a pitcher?
Well, go ahead. Yeah, well, I just think that when you stay tall and as big as Waka is, you get that plane where the bat path just seems to not square up the ball. And when they stay tall and not get too much of a long stride, he tends to be able to keep the ball down in the zone. When it gets up, it gets flat.
And I liken it to if you were at home and somebody stood on a table and dropped the ball and you had to hit it, like soft toss style. Much more difficult than if a guy was flipping it underhand upward, which is more of a flat feeling. And that's when he's at his best right there. He got a generous call right there down, but at 96, it creates such a nice angle, and then his changeup becomes a real weapon off of this angle, because he gets great arm speed on it, and he'll get chases out of the strike zone.
1-2. And the curveball down and away. Last start, Waka hardly threw any changeups. You mentioned the pitch, Mooney. It's a vital pitch for his success. But Mike Matheny told us when he can't get the ball down, he gets away from the changeup and may throw more fastballs and curveballs. The changeup is only a weapon for him, obviously, when he keeps it down in the zone. 2-2 fastball fouled off by Bryant. 97.
If he gets 97 at the knees like he did earlier in that pitch off Bryant, he's going to be tough to hit today.
The Cubs have had some good success against Waka in his career. Packed house here at Wrigley. Mostly blue, a little red here in the house in Chicago. And the 2-2 fastball there for strike 3 called, 2 down.
.98 miles an hour on that fastball, and even though he got a generous call, I'm sure Mike Matheny's looking on saying, love the command of that fastball in that sequence. He went away with the fastball, but he also a couple of times came in, but all of it down in the strike zone. If he can continue that, that will lead to success even against this Cub lineup.
So 2 down and the base is empty for Cub first baseman Anthony Rizzo. Not typical Rizzo numbers in some categories. He is hitting for power, driving and runs. There's the big curveball in for a strike, but we talked about Matt Carpenter being just a 216. That looks a little strange. Anthony Rizzo is just a 226. That looks a little strange.
I look at the at-bats. These guys, he's having really good at-bats. You know, taking his walks. You know, there's still the homers are there for him at KB. It just, you know, they hadn't had a whole lot going around them, so you don't know if you're going to get pitched to in certain situations and how they're going to attack you, whether they're going to come right at you or wait for the guys that are struggling further down the lineup.
Waka's way out in front 0-2. And there's that a 90-mile-an-hour changeup that just missed down.
It sure was.
90-mile-an-hour changeup.
That's right, my bat speed, Booney.
1-2 the count. Fastball lined into right field, a base hit, and the Cubs with a 2-out single.
This sun is so in our face out here. I looked up like it was coming our way. I had no idea. That was a line drive, but this was a pitch that by design, he's been so good down in the zone. Yadier wanted this ball up. He wanted to challenge him up around the belt. He didn't get it as high as he wanted, but he got it in. But as David hit on, he's had a lot of success. Rizzo has against Walk in his career. He's able to get to the barrel to that inside pitch and lace it into right.
So it seems nobody crowds the plate like Anthony Rizzo does. You caught for 15 years in the big leagues. Did anybody you ever played against crowd as much as Rizzo?
There was one other guy. I remember it's my first spring training in big league camp. Mo Vaughn stepped to the plate and had that big elbow guard, and Paul Quantrill told me to set up in, and I told him there is no in. There's not one there. So, you know, and I'm a big guy, so getting in there was tough. And same thing with Riz. We played him in Boston. And when I was catching for Boston, and he came to the plate, and I'm like, who is this guy, and why is he so close to the dish? It was impressive. He's right on there. He's daring you to bring it in there, and you see how he pulled his hands in on that last pitch, fastball in.
And how hard is it to get a pitcher to actually throw 3 balls and dot it in there?
The harder part is getting an umpire to call 3 strikes in there. they can't see. The umpires can't seem to see when I'm in there, or, as catchers, we're bigger guys, and then you get a big guy like Riz, and then the bat's hanging over the plate. So to be set up in there and execute the pitch, one is hard, and then have the umpire give you the borderline strike.
The in ball to a lefty
is very tough, very tough, especially when they're crowding the dish.
2-1 the count on Ben Zobrist with 2 down and Rizzo at first. Zobrist back in the cleanup spot, was moved up to leadoff, back down to cleanup recently. Joe Maddon's done some tinkering with the lineup. And a ground ball to first, an easy play to end the inning. No runs. A base hit and a man left, no score at the end of 1.
If you liked the MicroTouch before, you're going to love the all-new Max.
The all-new MicroTouch Max Precision Hair Trimmer. German stainless steel blades, built-in LED light, and now with 50% more power for more precise grooming. For ears, nose, eyebrows, neck, and sideburns.
MicroTouch Max, uncompromised excellence. And hey, for under $10, the best value in grooming.
The all-new MicroTouch Max. Available now at these fine stores.
Whatever it is that makes your business great, promote it with Vistaprint. Choose from banners, postcards, or business cards, each starting at less than $10 when you enter TV10 at Vistaprint.com.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle takes. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be Marines.
You're doing your best. Are you doing your best?
I'm trying.
It really looked like there was a bond with you three guys.
There's a great guys. I mean, the whole dugout last year on the team, like you talked about Dexter earlier. We had guys like Travis Wood, all the way in the bullpen. Everybody was just super accountable, good guys on and off the field. Whether you're doing well or doing poorly, the guys just seemed to bring a good attitude every day and respected one another. Except for me, of course.
Miguel Montero strikes out 2 down. Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell, is brought to you by Lexus. Experience amazing. And America's biopharmaceutical companies. Go boldly. Two down, bases empty, no score. Hot night, temperature in the mid-80s here in Chicago. The Cardinals and the Cubs in the final game of this 3-game series. Cubs with a 3-2 win Friday, a 5-3 win last night. Here is Addison Russell. Drove in 95 runs last year, but man, is he scuffling right now. In his last 28 games, he's hitting only 140, and Joe Madden has been alternating Russell and Javier Baez at short in recent days. Baez has really started to come out of it. He's swinging the bat well right now. But Joe Madden, he's got one of them going. He wants to get both of them going, and then he says he'll get back to kind of their normal rhythm and routine of moving people around, where Zobrist could move to different positions.
This is another one of those guys where I feel like a younger guy hadn't had a chance to struggle so much. Finally having some struggles this year. Second full season in the league. Once Addy gets going, this team will be a lot different. He's one of those guys that are struggling right now.
I think he's got to get back from a thought process standpoint. It sounds simple. Hitting line drives. I think he's gotten really into this launch angle. That's a big deal in Major League Baseball. And I think his swing path is right now geared towards hitting fly balls. I think he's getting beat a little bit. I think his thought process needs to be line drives, and that'll result, I think, in him shortening up his swing. And he's got outstanding bat speed, outstanding natural power. Those balls will eventually start to fly. And
he looks a little in between to me right now, too. Like you're saying, that leg kick and hands and all aren't working together.
He'll take the walk, and coincidentally, Buster Olney's column today on ESPN.com is about how launch angle has kind of taken over baseball. And Buster, you've talked to executives who say it's not for everybody, or at least it shouldn't be, right?
Executive, managers, coaches, and that's the feedback that I got, that they feel like it works for some hitters, like a Josh Donaldson, maybe like a Chris Bryant, but there are a lot of hitters who maybe don't have the skill set to do that effectively.
Kyle Hendricks, the batter.
Booney, what were you taught when you were coming up? No, seriously. I mean,
get on top of the ball, hit the ball hard on the ground, which I don't buy into that philosophy at all.
Well, and I was taught hit the ball and cut it in half. We were trying to find that line drive and backspin, and it seems to be totally different now with launch angles and staying connected and uppercuts and I get it. I get hit the ball out of the ballpark, but like Buster said, it's not for everybody.
Line drives through the middle. You've got to do a lot of things correct in your swing. And if you have that natural power, the ball will fly.
Hendricks called out on strikes, and we're through 2 at Wrigley. No score still between the Cardinals and the Cubs.
A naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 engine. A 10-speed direct shift transmission. A meticulously crafted interior. All of these are feats of engineering. Combining them with near-perfect weight distribution is a feat of amazing. Experience the first ever 471 horsepower Lexus LC500 or the multi-stage hybrid LC500H. Experience amazing.
It's something that's always present. You're always thinking about it.
What if my cancer comes back?
I've been working on this therapy for 5 years now, and we're getting ready to go to the clinic.
My son definitely keeps me fighting. I want to be there for him when he needs me.
That's what motivates me. I want to see patients have gray hair.
I see myself growing old with my pink hair.
That, to me, is enough to keep going.
USAA gives me the peace of mind and the security just like the Marines did.
The process through USAA. Is so effortless that you feel like you're a part of the family.
I love that I can pass the membership to my children. We're the Williams family, and we're USAA members for life.
Welcome back to Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, presented by Taco Bell. Well, you know, some things never change. You know, big star outfielder wants to warm up, play catch between innings. He's looking for somebody. He says, hey, backup catcher, you, play catch with me. And that's David, David Ross up there playing catch.
I was worried I wasn't going to be able to get it back to him. I wouldn't lose. I'm surprised my shoulder didn't come out of joint. That's all I had on the ball right there. I couldn't even hit him in the chest. That's pretty good by Jay Hay. I mean, that's a moving target. I'm standing on a chair right there with, you know, I can't move anywhere, so it's... I'm stationary. He hit me right in the chest every time. It's pretty impressive.
How about the rock star status when David Ross was coming from the set of Baseball Tonight, walking up to the just chorus of cheers and everything?
Yeah, that was a pretty cool moment. That was, I don't take that for granted. I'm listening. I keep my head down and smile, but I'm listening. I'm like, taking it all in. I love you too, right? You know, the usher who was walking me, security guard, started waving. I was like, thank you, because I don't know what to do when I'm on the field. People start cheering for me. It's so rare.
Well, we were here doing a game last year against the Cardinals, actually, a Sunday night game. And you had hit a regular season game. You had hit a home run earlier in the game, and then Joe Maddon came out it looked like he was going to make a pitching change. But what he actually did was take you out of the game to get you one more ovation. You didn't know that was coming.
Right? No, and that was one of the favorite moments of my year last year, and a lot of great things happened. But we started the game, and I got a standing ovation because my last home game, and Yachty gave me that. He walked out. I got a ton of respect for Yachty giving me that moment, and then I think I punched out or something, and then the next time I got up and he gave me it again, and I hit a home run, and I got a standing ovation and a curtain call, and I don't get too many of those. That was really, really special. Then Joe,
I remember it well because before the game they had a nice tribute on the board.
Yep.
Theo and
my family was there,
down there.
right.
Your family.
That was
saw some Rossi tears.
Yeah, I did. I've been crying for like 8 months. I'm tired of crying.
Paul DeYoung lines one, a foul. DeYoung. Has come up from the minors, former 4th round pick, a guy that Mike Matheny and the Cardinals are very high on. Colton Wong is on the DL with an elbow issue, and DeYoung homered in his first major league at bat. First major league swing, actually, became the 9th Cardinal to ever homer in his first major league at bat. He was drafted as a third baseman, but can play third, short, and second. And it kind of feels like, guys, he's made enough of an impression that even when Wong comes back, there's a spot on this roster for DeYoung.
Yeah, he's earning playing time, especially with the struggles that this club's had offensively, even defensively. He's had good range out at second base. But a live bat and a guy that can play all over the field, I think he's going to find himself in a nice utility role.
This is pregame, and one of the things we before every game is we go into the manager's office. So David went into the manager's office with us. He's showing Chris Bryant his press pass.
I'm free. They were giving me so much crap for having that press pass. They're like, "Sir, you're too close to the players.
Get the media out of here."
You've gone to the dark side.
I was like, times have changed fast. Jeez Louise.
Because this is your third game for us, right? But your first Cub game.
First one back here. Last time I'd been back here was for the ring ceremony, which is a really cool moment. But as last time I felt like a player, so they were really giving me a hard. They told me I had to leave the locker room. I was in there earlier. Media's not allowed in until 3:30. They told me. I was like, come on, guys.
Buffet's off limits.
Please don't sit down. They told me not to sit down. They were ripping me a new one. It was good.
Bryant, Rizzo, and the rest all getting a chance to visit with their ex-teammate today. Here's Aledmus Diaz, the shortstop for the Cardinals, batting in the 8th spot. Hitting .255 of the season. A guy who at times last year really had an electric bat. I mean, he had some thump in his bat and put up some very good numbers for the Cardinals. Not quite at that same level so far this season. The Cardinals, like the Cubs probably, just not where they thought they would be, and you can point to a number of different areas on each team and say, well, for the team to get better, this has to improve, that has to improve, and Mike Matheny's looking for the offense as a whole to kind of take that next step. Down the left field line with a foul ball.
Well, with Diaz, he's just had a hard time this season controlling the strike zone. There's been too often where he's fallen behind in the count and he's swinging outside the strike zone. As soon as he controls that a little better, and I believe it's in there for him to do that, it's outstanding bat speed and it's a live bat. That this is a guy that could find his way back to the top of the lineup once he gets rolling. I really feel like he's an important piece to this offense.
3-2 outside, and the first walk given up in a long time by Hendricks. And the first base runner for the Cardinals. Here's the MLB calendar for the week on ESPN. Tomorrow night, two of the top teams in baseball collide as the Nationals take on the Dodgers at 10 o'clock Eastern Time. Thursday night, David will be a part of this game at Yankee Stadium as the Yankees host the Red Sox. And 1 week from tonight, Sunday night baseball at Fenway as the Red Sox host the Detroit Tigers.
Now, this is what we call the Chicago Cub rule that's been put in this year. You see, Ben Zobrist moves over to hold on the first base, so he essentially becomes like the first baseman. Well, there's a new rule. You're only allowed to have a first baseman mitt if you're playing essentially first base. So Anthony Rizzo has to run in and get a different glove and almost has like an infielder's glove on because he's essentially playing second base right now because he's so dynamic in covering the bunt in this kind of situation where you know it's a bunt situation.
Until it feels like last year we never really saw this. And David, did this start just with John Lester because of his difficulty throwing the ball to bases, or was this done with all pitchers last year?
It started with the guys who couldn't handle the bat for the opposing team.
Right.
You know, when you know the 90% chance they're bunting and that you got a non-threat base stealer at first base, you still got a guy to pick off, as you see Kyle do there. Riz had to do this a couple of times last year, just switching gloves, and we had about a 10-minute delay in one game. The umpire trying to figure out what the rules were last year, so I think they got all that straightened out, and now Riz got to have a lot of guts to get in that close.
I always felt like if a pitcher that was just okay at handling the bat, I always felt like you wanted to press him as much as you can and force him to swing the bat. And more often than not, I found you net yourself a couple of strikes because they're confused. They realize they don't want to bunt into such a strong defense, and then they do this.
The second one to first, double play. It pays off. 1-6-3, inning over.
Liberty Mutual stood with us when a fire destroyed the living room. We were able to replace everything in it.
Liberty did what? Liberty Mutual paid to replace all our property that was damaged.
And we didn't have to touch our savings.
Yeah, our insurance won't do that.
There goes my boat.
You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Take on the mainstream. Introducing Nissan's new Midnight Edition.
The Cardinals are number.
Eyebrows, neck, and sideburns.
Microtouch Max. Uncompromised excellence.